All right, so we're going to start with Hilchas Rosh Chodesh. It's on Reish Pei Aleph Amud Aleph, and it is Siman Taf Yud Zayin. Perfect timing. Shalom Aleichem. It's wonderful to see you. Wonderful to see you. Siman Taf Yud Zayin. It's on the bottom of Reish Pei Aleph Amud Aleph. Hilchas Rosh Chodesh, and how fitting is it that we're starting it a day after Rosh Chodesh El. So Hilchas Rosh Chodesh Ubai Seif Echad, the halachas of Rosh Chodesh, and over here we have one Seif. Says the Mechaber, Rosh Chodesh muter ba'asiyas malacha. There is no Isser malacha on Rosh Chodesh. And the truth is that this is learnt out in the Gemara. I know that it's brought down in various places, that there's no Isser malacha on Rosh Chodesh. Says the Mishnah Berurah right away, Rosh Chodesh, minig kadmeinenu levarech es hachodesh b'Shabbos shelifnei Rosh Chodesh. It's a minig kadmeinim to do what we call Rosh Chodesh benching. Shabbos mevarchim is a minig kadmeinim. Chutz milifnei Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, with the exception of Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, which of course is Rosh Hashanah. For remez lazeh, and there's a remez in the pasuk that we should not bench Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, because the pasuk says in reference to Rosh Hashanah, Bakesa l'yom chagenu. Bakesa, the word bakesa connotes being covered. Bakesa l'yom chagenu. It's a time that the moon is covered, and bakesa l'yom chagenu. So somehow the yom chagenu is covered. We don't go ahead and announce it beforehand. We don't do Rosh Chodesh benching to announce the coming of Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, which is Rosh Hashanah. And the truth is that if you look in the Sharet Tzion's Cotton Bays, he says, Ve'ikar atamhu, the main reason why we wouldn't bench Rosh Chodesh before Rosh Hashanah is the Kevin de Rosh Chodesh Tishrei hu Yom Tov shel Rosh Hashanah, l'maisa lahaskir zayis b'kaidim. There's no point in mentioning it, because why do we bench Rosh Chodesh? As we're going to see, the reason we bench Rosh Chodesh is because we want to let people know when Rosh Chodesh is, so that they should remember to keep the halachas of Rosh Chodesh. They should say Yalav Yavai, they should daven Musaf. They have to keep the halachas of Rosh Chodesh, and also so that they should be aware that the new month is beginning, so that if there are any Yomim Tovim or anything special in that month, they should have in mind to keep those halachas. So that's why we have Shabbos Mevarchim. Now for Rosh Hashanah, we don't need Shabbos Mevarchim. Everybody knows that Rosh Hashanah is coming. We're saying L'David, we're saying Slichas. We're blowing Rosh Hashanah. The women are making up menus and cooking. So we don't need to announce that Rosh Hashanah is coming. And therefore there's no point in Shabbos Mevarchim before Rosh Hashanah. So that's why we don't do it for Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. Continues the Mishnah Berurah on the second line, and he says, V'yesh mekaymos, there are places she'einai hagin levarish Rosh Chodesh Av, they don't do Rosh Chodesh benching before Rosh Chodesh Av. Why? Mishum shu chodesh shel paranios, because we know that Av, unfortunately, of Tisha B'Av, it's a chodesh of punishment. And what they seem to base this on, the Magen Avraham brings down the pasuk from Iyuv. There's a pasuk in Iyuv where Iyuv is cursing the day that he was, the night that he was conceived, the day that he was born, and he goes very poetic in the psukim over there, and he says that the day that I was born should always be cursed, and the sun shouldn't shine, and the month shouldn't be counted in the count of months. So the pasuk says, I wrote it down here, B'mispar Yerachim al Yavai. The month that I was born in, it shouldn't be counted in the months. So you see that there is such a concept from the pasuk that a chodesh of Peronius somehow should not be counted. So if Av is a chodesh of Peronius, we shouldn't bench Rosh Chodesh. Interestingly enough, the Magen Avraham says that this concept is first brought down by a Haggas HaMordechai in Megillah, and if you look in the Haggas Mordechai, he himself is doiche this. And he says that it really doesn't make sense. Because Adarabba, if Av is a chodesh of Peronius, it needs more bracha. We're not going to say that it's a chodesh of Peronius and we're not going to give it bracha. We have to give it bracha because it's a chodesh of Peronius. And of course our minig is that we do Shabbos Mevarchim even before Chodesh Av. Continues the Mishnah Berurah, and he makes a point here that I think a lot of people who don't learn this, they don't realize this. Ve'ein birkas Rosh Chodesh ki kiddush hachodesh shehaya milefanim. Don't make the mistake of thinking that when we do Shabbos Mevarchim and we say Rosh Chodesh Elul Yeh b'Yom HaShishi u'Lemachrasei b'Yom HaShabbos Kodesh, that we're doing what Bezdin used to do when they're Mekadesh the Chodesh. We know that in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, how did you set the calendar? Eidim came and they testified that they saw the new moon. They went to Bezdin, they were made before Bezdin, and the Rosh Av Bezdin said Mekudesh. And by the Rosh Av Bezdin saying Mekudesh, that's how they set Rosh Chodesh. That's how they were Mekadesh the Chodesh. So you might think that when we do Shabbos Mevarchim, what we're doing is we're being Mekadesh the Chodesh. Says the Mishnah Berurah, no. Vein Birchas Rosh Chodesh ki Kiddush HaChodesh Shehaya Milufnim. This is not Kiddush HaChodesh, what we're doing. And again, he brings this down from the Magen Avram. This is not Kiddush HaChodesh. Ela Shemeidim Laha'olam Masa Yachol Rosh Chodesh. All we're doing is we're letting people know when Rosh Chodesh is. The Yizaharu b'chol hilchas HaChodesh, so that they should be careful. And there's two things there. Like I said, they should be careful with the halachas of Rosh Chodesh and also the halachas of the coming month. Umikam Makayim, but the Chavetz Chaim does say, Nahagu lamoid b'shas amiras Rosh Chodesh ploni b'yom ploni. It is the minig to stand when we say that piece, Rosh Chodesh ploni yeh b'yom ploni, dugmas Kiddush HaChodesh shehaya me'umid. Similar to Kiddush HaChodesh that was done standing. Now this happens to be a very, very interesting thing. It's a very simple line here. Dugmas Kiddush HaChodesh shehaya me'umid. Similar to Kiddush HaChodesh in Bezdin that was done me'umid. Fact, Rabbi Akiva Eiger says, what are you talking about? Kiddush HaChodesh was not done me'umid. Kiddush HaChodesh was done b'miyushiv. Kiddush HaChodesh was done when they were sitting. So what do you mean that it's similar to the Kiddush HaChodesh that was done me'umid? It wasn't done me'umid. It's not true. And he brings a raya from a Mishnah. He brings a raya from the Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah. The Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah says that the Rosh Av Bezdin said Mekudesh, and the Oimdim Sham, the ones that were standing, they stood before him. The ones that were standing said Mekudesh, Mekudesh. But the Kiddush HaKodesh was done by the Rosh Av Bezdin, b'miyushiv, not b'muhammad. So there's a bunch of different interesting answers to this question. But Rav Moshe in the Igris, he cuts through all the noise. And he gives such a beautiful, straight, simple answer. He says, yeah, it's true. The Rosh Av Bezdin said Mekudesh, he had to be sitting. Because when he said Mekudesh, that's a Psak Bezdin. And a Psak Bezdin has to be done by Miyushiv. So the Rosh Av Bezdin said Mekudesh. But the Oimdim Sham, the Am that was standing there, they had to answer Mekudesh, Mekudesh. And they were all standing. Now who are we? We're not the Rosh Av Bezdin, that's Paskening Mekudesh. The Psak of Mekudesh was done by Hillel Hasheni. Hillel Hasheni set the calendar for all time going forward, and that's the Psak. He issued the Psak of the calendar. We, when we say Rosh Chodesh Ploni Yeh b'Yom Ploni, we're like the Am that was standing by the Rosh Av Bezdin. So we say it's standing. That's what it means, Kedugmas Kiddush HaChodesh. The Rosh Av Bezdin sat, but we're not the Rosh Av Bezdin. We're the Am. So we do it standing.
Why can't we say the Eidus themselves were standing?
Yeah, but we're not Eidim. We're not saying Eidus that we saw the moon.
But that's the way it was by the Bezdin. The Bezdin's got the sitting.
Right.
But the two Eidim.
Yeah, but we're not. But when we say Rosh Chodesh Ploni Yeh b'Yom Ploni, that's not what Eidim said. So we're not acting as Eidim. So there's no reason we should be standing as Eidim. So he just says we're standing in the category of the Am. The Am ha'imdim sham. That's who we are. There's another interesting teretz that they give is that they say that Kiddush HaChodesh, the halach is you need 10 people. So the Gemara says, what do you do if you didn't have 10 and you only had 9? So it says if you had 9, you brought a Sefer Torah. And since you brought a Sefer Torah, now everybody had to stand because of the Sefer Torah. So that's why we hold a Sefer Torah when we say Rosh Chodesh Ploni Yeh b'Yom Ploni, and that's why we stand. Rav Moshe asks, he says, but that's, normally they had 10 people. It's only in a mikra that they didn't have 10 that they had to bring a Sefer Torah. So then there's a whole discussion, why do we hold the Sefer Torah? And you should know, there's a big hakpada in this halacha of having the Sefer Torah. It's brought down, what do you do?
What does the word hakpada mean?
that it's very important. We're very makpid. We're very makpid on this halacha to hold the Sefer Torah. It's brought down the following shaila. What do you do if you forgot to bench Rosh Chodesh and you already put the Sefer Torah back? And now somebody realized before Musa started, hey, wait a second, we have to bench Rosh Chodesh. So Chaim Kanievsky says, you can't take the Sefer Torah out again, because that's a bizayon for the Sefer Torah, that you put the Sefer Torah back and then you take the Sefer Torah out. He says you can't take the Sefer Torah out again. So if you're stuck, you should bench Rosh Chodesh without the Sefer Torah. But better, don't bench Rosh Chodesh, wait till Mincha, take out the Sefer Torah by Mincha, and bench Rosh Chodesh by Mincha. There's a very makbid on this halacha of the Sefer Torah. So they talk about why. What's the point? So some bring down that because we say tachanunim, because we daven and we have this whole yehiratzin and we ask for chaim shel shalom, chaim shel bracha, so the tefillos are answered better if there's a Sefer Torah. So we take out a Sefer Torah and we say it with the Sefer Torah. But they all bring down ein l'shanis haminig, and it's a minig kadmoinim, and you're not allowed to do it without the Sefer Torah, and you have to have the Sefer Torah. It's not just a small thing. Okay.
Is this where some people will come down with, like, if you don't have an minion, you have 9 people, and you take a Sefer Torah?
That is where it comes from. It does come from these Gemaras that talk about having a Sefer Torah as a, Okay. Now we have another interesting halacha here. Continues the Mechaber. And this is such a fascinating piece of halacha over here. Says the Mechaber, V'hanoshim shenayhagos shaloi lasais boi malacha. Women who have the minig not to do malacha on Rosh Chodesh, hu minig toiv. It's a minig toiv. Women that have a minig not to do malacha on Rosh Chodesh, it's a minig toiv. Now, the Bechecha, the Eshal Avram, says that you should know when it says here, shaloi lasais by malacha, it doesn't mean not to do malacha like on Shabbos or like Yom Tov. It means like, at the most, like Cholamoyed. So he says the women that have a minig not to do malacha like Cholamoyed, it's a minig toiv. Okay, well, before we get complicated, let's go into ice cut and bays in the Mishnah Berurah. V'anoshim shenei hagos. First he says, avalim nohagu anoshim, men who have a minig not to do malacha on Rosh Chodesh, ein zem minig klal. There's no such minig for men not to do malacha on Rosh Chodesh. Ice cut and gimel hu minig toiv. Where does this minig come from? Lefi shaloi parku nizmeim la'egel. Since the women refuse to take off their jewelry and donate their jewelry to the building of the egel, niten lahem Rosh Chodesh l'yom tov. The schus that they got was that Rosh Chodesh is a bigger Yom Tov for women than it is for men. They have the right to keep a shtickle episode Yom Tov on Rosh Chodesh where men do not. And that they got that b'matana. The lashon is that the Rebbeinu Shalom gave them a matana. Because they weren't willing to donate to the egel, they got this as a matana. It is brought down from the Torah, v'yesh oy ta'amim ayin b'liyor rabba v'ayin b'bir halacha. Now, this halacha of women not doing malacha on Rosh Chodesh is very, very fascinating. It's a very, very fascinating piece of halacha. The bir halacha over here, it's a very long bir halacha. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But the bir halacha, if on Reish Pei Almad Aleph, on the bottom, v'hanoshim shenai hagos, the women that have this minig not to do malacha, so the Mechaber said it's a minig toiv. Says the bir halacha, tzarich iyan b'kavanas ha-Mechaber. Well, it needs iyan to understand what does the Mechaber mean when he says that it's a minig toiv. There's 2 different ways of looking at this. Im l'daita al kalpanim mitzad minig mechuyavais kal anoshim linakain mitzad shehu minig kadum. Does the Mechaber mean that this is a minig toiv, and since it's a minig toiv, all women are mechuyeves, they're obligated to keep this minig because it's a minig toiv. She'imaysayim hachziku by kvar, because their mothers were already machzik in this minig and it's a minig toiv. Ukisha'ar dvarim hamutarim shebenois Yisrael kibul aleim izmanim kadmoinim, like any other minig of things that are really mutter that the Benois Yisrael were makabel on themselves for an iser shebevadai kaladoris b'chuyavim linoi kain, that for all generations women are mechuyeves to do this. For instance, hilchas nida, this that women keep shiva nikiyim on every time that they see dam. It's not a daraisa. It's not a daraisa. Where does it come from? The lashon is that kvar nagu b'nois Yisrael. That this is something that they will makabel. There's no shaila that every woman is mechuyeves to do it. So is that what the mechaber means? Mechaber means that it's a minig tov and every woman is mechuyev to have this minig. Oi kavanasai rak loimer di isha shenei heges kein hu minig tov. Or does he just mean that any woman that does this, it's a minig tov? Now, there's a very big difference. The second way, so if a woman decides she wants to keep an Issa Malacha on Rish Chodesh, very nice, Tavei Aleh Bracha, it's a nice minig. The first way, no. You're mechuyev to have an Issa Malacha on Rish Chodesh. You can't choose not to. It's a minig tov and you're mechuyev to do it. So the Chavetz Chaim here in the Birur Halacha says, not sure. I don't know what the Mechaber means. Now I'm going to skip. He goes on to bring rayas from different achronim both ways. He has rayas both ways. He says, I'm not sure. In the end, though, he proves, to his satisfaction, the Birur Halacha, the Chavetz Chaim says, in the end, that really what the Mechaber means is that every woman is mechuyev to be noyeg an Isser Malacha on Rosh Chodesh. But it's a very fascinating Isser. The Isser is whatever Isser Malacha the woman chose to keep. As long as the point is that Rosh Chodesh should not be a regular day of the week. As long as she's makabel something on herself, some Isser Malacha, that Rosh Chodesh is different than a regular day of the week, that's enough. But whatever she's makabel, she's got to keep. And whatever she's makabel, she can't back out from. So he even says to Birur Halacha, if a woman will come along and say, I'm makabel on myself, a stam Isser Malacha on Rosh Chodesh. I'm not doing Malacha on Rosh Chodesh anymore. For me, Rosh Chodesh is like Chol Hamoed. Now, 12 months later, she wants to write a grocery list, so she takes out a pen, and her husband says, wait a second, you're not allowed to write Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh for you is like Chol Hamoed. You're not allowed to write. She says, you know what, I spoke to all my friends. They all think I'm crazy. Everybody writes on Chol Hamoed. I'm going to write on Chol Hamoed too. If you are makabel that you're not going to write on Rosh Chodesh, you can't, because it's a minig tov. It's a minig tov. And whatever you are makabel, you are makabel. So it's a very interesting what's together. What's together? So I've been trying to track down today, according to different people, exactly what is together. So the two most widespread minhagim that I could find are sewing, that women do not sew on Rosh Chodesh, and doing laundry. Some women don't do laundry on Rosh Chodesh. Right. But in laundry, it's also very interesting. There are women that don't do any laundry on Chol Hamoed, on Rosh Chodesh, I'm sorry. And then there are women who don't do laundry on Rosh Chodesh, but if it's laundry that they need, I mean, the kid needs a shirt to go to school, then it's not worse than Chol Hamoed. I mean, something that's Tzarech HaMoed, something that you need, you're allowed to wash. So there are women that will wash what's a tzarech. But in other words, if laundry day in the house is Sunday, and Sunday is Rosh Chodesh, they won't do the laundry on Sunday, they'll do the laundry on Monday. But somebody needs a piece of clothing, that they'll wash. Now, somebody called me up, somebody else who says it Dirshu Share, I did not see it, and he told me that he saw in the Sefer Mesiris Moshe, which seems to be a Sefer that was put together by Mordechai Tendler, with minhagim from the Rishiva Zatzal, that it says over there that they asked the Rishiva Zatzal about women doing malacha on Rosh Chodesh, and he said no sewing and no laundry. And then they asked him, but the Rebbetzin is doing laundry. His wife was doing laundry. He said, she doesn't realize it's Rosh Chodesh. But he didn't get up and tell her it was Rosh Chodesh. So, I called up my sister-in-law, and I asked my sister-in-law, Ruben's daughter, I asked my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law said, nobody ever taught me not to do malacha on Rosh Chodesh. He says, I never learned that there was any problem of doing malacha of any kind on Rosh Chodesh. My wife doesn't sew. My wife doesn't sew. First,
Sew in general?
oh yeah, she sews a lot of her own clothing, but she doesn't sew on Rosh Chodesh. My family all knows, don't ask mommy to fix something on Rosh Chodesh. Mommy doesn't sew on Rosh Chodesh. I asked my shviga, And my shviga said, yeah, we don't sew. Rosh Chodesh, we don't sew. Asked about laundry. Laundry? Never heard of such a thing. So it's this very ambiguous Isser Malacha, but it does seem that that's at least for sure according to Mishnah Berurah. For sure according to the Mishnah Berurah, every woman is mechuyev to have a level of malacha that she does not do on Rosh Chodesh. It's not something that could be ignored. I looked in the Aruch HaShulchan. I was trying to see if somebody's more makel. I looked in the Aruch HaShulchan. From a simple reading of the Aruch HaShulchan seems to be a lot more machmer. He speaks about it in much more chumradic terms than the Chavetz Chaim does. He says, women, it's a malacha. Rosh Chodesh, it's a malacha.
Very stressed out because Rosh Chodesh falls on different days of the week. So let's say Sunday is the day that she has the time to do laundry. So if all of a sudden she can't do laundry, she could be stressed out a whole day. I can't do laundry now the whole week.
Right, and not only that, they have to be cognizant of the calendar. They're not always cognizant of the Yiddish calendar, so they don't know that Rosh Chodesh is coming to plan for it in advance. If they realized that Rosh Chodesh was coming, so I was wondering, in my house, from my mother, I never heard from my mother any kind of Issa Malacha on Rosh Chodesh. My mother wasn't a sewer, so it wouldn't have been the gay that she doesn't sew. She sewed on a button. Laundry, we lived in an apartment building where there wasn't room to do much. She had a small washing machine. She did basic laundry she did in the house, but a lot of it she sent out because she couldn't really do it. So I don't know how much it would have been the gab. I never heard anything from her. But what always struck me as interesting was that the women were very makpid in Rosh Chodesh benching. Even now, my mother, Shabbos Bavarchim, it's not easy for her to walk. But my mother is going to shul for Shabbos. My mother tells me on Erev Shabbos, I called to say good Shabbos. Oh, it's Rosh Chodesh benching, I got to go to shul. So I always wondered, why were the women so makpid on Rosh Chodesh benching? Every Rosh Chodesh benching. I'm sure she got it from the home. You ask her, maybe she got it from the home. The women were very makpid on Rosh Chodesh benching. So now I'm putting one and one together and I'm getting two. The women had to be makpid on Rosh Chodesh benching because they needed to know when Rosh Chodesh was, because they had an Isser Malacha on Rosh Chodesh. So they had to know when Rosh Chodesh was. So they were makpid on Rosh Chodesh benching. And maybe that's where the minute came from, that the women were so makpid on Rosh Chodesh benching. You know? So it's a very interesting halacha here. And now we have here the Ramah. Let's do the Ramah. The Ramah says here on the top of Reish Pei Aleph Amid Beis, Haga, says the Ramah, V'im haminig lasais miktsas malachais v'loy lasais ktsasan azlinan basar haminig. And here you have the Ramah. The Ramah says if you see women who do certain malachas and they don't do other malachas, they could follow their minig. And that's what the Chavetz Chaim says, that this is where the Ramah is coming from. What the Ramah is saying is, yes, they have a right to pick and choose what malachas they do and what malachas they don't. And now the Mishnah Berurah says here, Ais Kat Dalid, Azlin Basar Aminig, why? The bevadai meikara adaita dahachi kabilu alayu linoig. Because when you see a woman who's doing certain malachas and not doing other malachas, don't look at her like she's crazy and ask the question that Rabbeinu Yerucham asks. Rabbeinu Yerucham is brought down into Beis Yosef. Beis Yosef brings down the Rabbeinu Yerucham. The Rabbeinu Yerucham says, I don't understand. I see women who are making a mistake, and some malachas they do, and some malachas they don't do. If you don't do malacha on Rosh Chodesh, you can't do any malacha. If you do malacha on Rosh Chodesh, you can do all malacha. Says the Beis Yosef, no. They could pick and choose what malacha they do and what malacha they don't. Why? Because when you see a woman who's not sewing, but is doing laundry, that means that that's what she was makabel on herself. And she's allowed to be makabel on herself, what she wants. But the heicha diadinan shenagu bestam. But when you know that a woman was makabel on herself min hastam, that she's just not doing malacha, ein lehem lahakil b'shum malacha. Then she can't be makel on any malacha. Now, like we said, at Pashtus it means only up to the level of what's asar on chalamayid. V'ayin bir Allah. Now the Mishnah Berurah is going to dive, for the rest of this long Mishnah Berurah, he's going to dive into other halachas of Rosh Chodesh that are not discussed openly over here in the Mechaber.
And one note, just that,
Sure.
what the I've seen this with women morph into like ladies' night out Rosh Chodesh because it's a woman's holiday. Yeah.
Well, look, it is, like I said, it is brought down that the women got this as a matana because they didn't give to the egel. It's also brought down one shita that says that when we say that there's an issa malacha, it doesn't mean that they're not allowed to do malacha. What it means is that their husbands can't force them to do anything. So the husband comes and the husband says, I want you to go do the laundry. I want you to go fix my suit. The woman says, nope, I don't got to. You gave to the egel, I didn't. So why? That's a very interesting question. Why did they get as a gift the concept of Rosh Chodesh? So there are different things that are brought down. Remember, one is because the pasuk says HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. It's the first mitzvah, right? We know that the mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh is the first mitzvah that we have, and they made the egel. Well, right. And they made Puravu is the very first mitzvah, but they made the egel very soon after HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. You got the mitzvah HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem right before you see Mitzrayim, and Baltiv to Kriyas Yamsuf, you ran and they made the egel. So it's like a kfira in the mitzvah that you just got. So the women didn't give. By them, it's a bigger mitzvah than it is by you. Also, it's brought down that Rosh Chodesh and the concept of the Levana, that the Levana changes every month, and the Chidush HaLevana teaches us Hashkacha Pratis, that how the Rebbeinu Shalom controls every aspect of the Bria. And if somebody would keep in his mind constantly Hashkacha Pratis, that everything that happens to him and everything that happens in the world is from Bari Olam, that he couldn't come to a mistake of an egel. So the women didn't make the mistake of an egel. It's more befitting for them to have a higher level of zahirus on the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh. So there's a lot of different reasons that are brought down. The 2 day is a calendrical thing. The 2 day.
Time of the best, there was no 2 days.
No, there was. The problem of the 2 day Rosh Chodesh was because when they were Mekadesh the Chodesh al Pi Re'iyah, so we're lucky, we have calendars, but they didn't have calendars. So they didn't know when Rosh Chodesh was. What happened? When Bezdin made Rosh Chodesh, either they used the torches, the flags, to let people in the Golos know, or they sent out Eidim, but there were people who didn't know when Rosh Chodesh was. So they would keep 2 days. Mesveika D'Yoma, they were keeping, they didn't know, is today Rosh Chodesh, is tomorrow Rosh Chodesh. So there were times that they kept 2 days. By the way Hillel fixed the calendar, he made it every other one. When it was Al Piriya, it wasn't every other one. Every month could be different. You never knew what it was going to be. So so the 2 days of Rosh Chodesh crept in already then. Okay. Yeah. No. Okay, so now says the Mishnah Berurah, if you have 2 days Rosh Chodesh, yes dayas papaiskim, there's a difference of opinion amongst the paiskim. Yes shekasvu d'tzrichen liyais patelin shnei yamim mimalachtam. There are those that said that the women who are noyeg in issa malacha have to keep an issa malacha for both days. V'yesh shekasvu d'zeh tali b'minig amakayim. Other paiskim say that this is tali on the minig of that specific place. V'chein mashmim min prima gadim. However, the Chavetz Chaim says, even according to this opinion that it's tali, it depends on the minik hamakam. Ein lahem lahakal rak yom rishon shel Rosh Chodesh. You should only be makel on the first day of Rosh Chodesh, shehu hashlamas chodesh ha'avar, which is really the last day of the previous month. Avaloi b'yom sheni, but you should not be makel in the Issa Malacha on the second day of Rosh Chodesh, shehu ikar Rosh Chodesh, because that's the real day of Rosh Chodesh. That's the first day of the new month. Yeshanai again, there is a minig lehis anois erev Rosh Chodesh, to fast on erev Rosh Chodesh. V'toiv sheyaste b'pam rishona shemesana she'ena mekabel elav lasei seis la'olam. Somebody who does take on this minig to fast on erev Rosh Chodesh should accept it upon himself with a tanai, with the condition that he's not accepting this in perpetuity, that he's always going to fast. Because maybe there'll come a time that he won't be feeling well, he won't be able to fast. And now, if he was makabel on himself to fast, it's a minig toiv that he was makabel on himself, and he has a chiyuv. But if he accepted it upon himself with a tanai, so then it's not a real chiyuv. Lo yeh alav kineder. V'toiv, and the Chavetz Chaim says it would be good, shemisha mesane, somebody who does have this minhag to fast, yanig atzmai lahashlam atainus ad halayla. He should keep the fast all the way until Tzeis HaKechavim. Now, the reason the Chavetz Chaim has to mention this is because if you go into Siman Tavkuf Samach Beis, the Mechaber brings down a minhag that some people had to fast on certain days of Aseres Yimei Tshuva. And that fast is brought down, is not a real fast. It's a fast to be mitzar yourself, to pain yourself a little bit, to be ma'ur yourself for tshuva. So that fast they didn't keep until Tzeis HaKechavim. Whenever they davened Ma'ariv, even if they davened what we call early Ma'ariv, in other words, after Plag, or even after Shkia, but before Tzeis HaKechavim, even if they davened Ma'ariv early, whenever they davened Ma'ariv, they broke the fast. Even, some say, that even if they didn't daven yet, even if it was the time that the Olam is going to Shul to daven Ma'ariv, they already broke the fast. Because it's not a real tainus, it's not an obligatory tainus. Says the Chavetz Chaim over here, this fast of Erev Rosh Chodesh is based on a bona fide minhag. Since it's based on a bona fide minhag, it has the chumrah of a tainus that if you do have that minhag to fast, you should be mashlam the tainus until Tzeis HaKechavim. Kain mashma me'eli arabo, umekamis chalukin yesh be'inyan zeh. In different places they have different minhagim. V'akol ufi kayach ha'adam. It depends on the strength of the person. V'chein mashma b'magen avram. Miu b'makim she'oisim mimenu tainus tzibur v'karin v'yichal. But in places where they have the minhag to keep the tainus of Erev Rosh Chodesh as a real bona fide tainus, and they even take out a Sefer Torah lein v'yichal, v'hu nimne imayim, and this person who's fasting is going to be counted in the minyan, then certainly you have to finish out the tainus until Tzeis HaKechavim. Va'afilu m'chal b'erev Shabbos, even if Rosh Chodesh is Friday, so you're going to go into Shabbos fasting, still you have to be mashlim the tainus until after Tzeis HaKechavim. V'ayel kamon Siman Tavkuf Samach Vav Seif Beis over Mishnah Berurah Sham, where the Mashmois says that that you would have to fast this even on an Erev Shabbos. Yeah. V'yesh to'hagid lasis lemincha seder Yom Kippur cotton. Then we have the minhag of Yom Kippur cotton on Erev Rosh Chodesh, where you say slichas. The tam l'shem zeh, and the rationale for the name Yom Kippur cotton, hu lefi ma de'issa b'pri chodesh de Maharam Kardaveri zal hayakari oisai Kippur cotton. The Maharam Kardaveri was the one who made up this name and called it Kippur cotton. Lefi shaboymis kaprim avoynos shel kol hachodesh, because on Rosh Chodesh you could get Kippur avoynos for the averis of the whole month. Dumya the sa'ir shel Rosh Chodesh, similar to the carbon that we brought when we had the Beis Hamikdash of the sa'ir chatas of Rosh Chodesh. The chedarbinan b'musaf, like we say in Musaf, zman kapara l'chol toldoisam. That Rosh Chodesh is a time for kapara, and we say the words l'chol toldoisam. And how do we understand the words l'chol toldoisam? Usually we understand it as meaning for all of our toldos, for all of our generations, for all of our children, for all of our families. So Rosh Chodesh is a zman kapar l'chol toldoisam, meaning for Gans Klal Yisrael. But says Chavetz Chaim, no, you could understand it differently. V'kedekasav abeis Yosef v'simen tav chav gimel b'shem Arachas Chaim ki kinoi toldoisam kai ala chadoshim. That the word toldos over here means on the chadoshim, on the things that you did during that month. Ritzayna lomar ki oilas Rosh Chodesh, the karban oila that you brought on Rosh Chodesh, haisaba al tolodos yemei chodesh, was brought as a carbon on the happenings of that month. So if you did chatoyim on that month, zman kapara l'chol toldoisam, it's a zman where you could get kapara for all the things that happened on that month. Ad kan lashon apri chodesh. The kasav amagen avram, the minhag tov loymar haslichos. It's a good minhag to say slichas. Hani Yom Kippur cotton. Kaidim tfilas hamincha. You should say the slichas before mincha, because you're saying slichas on Erev Rosh Chodesh. Really, it's not befitting to say slichas on Rosh Chodesh. And if it's already after the Zman of Mincha, you're getting too close to Rosh Chodesh for comfort. So if you're going to say Slichas on Erev Rosh Chodesh, you should do it before Mincha. In places where they gave Ashmuz, also to say Divrei Musar to the Olam, Yom Gam Ken Kaidin Tfilas HaMincha. That's more appropriate to do really before Mincha. However, in our time, the minig has become to do it after Mincha. Imchal Erev Rosh Chodesh b'Yom Shabbos. Let's say Rosh Chodesh falls out on Shabbos. So now Erev Rosh Chodesh is Erev Shabbos. Magdimin lehisanis b'Yom Chabishi. You should pull the fast forward to Thursday. Why? The reason for that is because, like the Chavetz Chaim just said, really, if you have the minhag to fast on Erev Rosh Chodesh, you're supposed to be mashlim the tainus, and you're supposed to fast till after Tzeis. If you're going to fast on Erev Shabbos, so now you're going to end up fasting on Shabbos. So we don't want you to do that. So be makdim the tainus till Thursday. Imchal Erev Rosh Chodesh b'Yom Shabbos. But no, I skipped 1 second. V'imchal b'Yom Shishi. If Erev Rosh Chodesh itself falls out on Friday, then Oisan Sha'imrin Slichais. If you have the minhag to say Slichais, Yis'anu b'Yom Chamishi, then you should fast on Thursday. Why? Because it's inappropriate to say Slichas on Erev Shabbos. So you're going to say the Slichas on Thursday. Once you're saying the Slichas on Thursday, fast on Thursday. V'oisan she'ein omrim Slichas, but if you're not going to say Slichas and Erev Rosh Chodesh is Friday, Yis'anu b'Yom Shishi, so fast on Erev Shabbos. You're going to have to be mashlim the tainus? Yeah. But if Erev Rosh Chodesh itself actually falls out on Erev Shabbos, it's better to fast on Erev Shabbos and be mashlim the tainus than it is to fast on Thursday. What did he say before? If Erev Rosh Chodesh is Shabbos, right? So now you're being magdim the tainus, but you're fasting already not on Erev Rosh Chodesh, then don't do it Friday, do it Thursday. Or le'inyan hashlama ayin le'el b'siman reish mem tes b'Mishnah Berurah sivkat and chaf aleph sivkat and chaf beis. Kasa b'shal sechuvas Menachem Azariah. Misha mis'ana b'erev Rosh Chodesh. If you do fast on Erev Rosh Chodesh, tzarich lemaher b'seudas halayla shelo yikanis bo kishehu ma'uneh. You should eat as soon as possible after Tzesek Echavim, because you don't want to be fasting on Rosh Chodesh. So you have to be mashlim the tainus until after Tzeis, so it's already Rosh Chodesh, but eat as soon as you can. Don't wait until after Tzeis. Aval al kol ponim tzarich lahashilun mishanoyike. Vayim among Avram shevi oimen hagam acherim bazeh b'shem shal sechuvas Menachem Azariah v'siyatoi. U'mesayim shekalecha lefi menhaga bazeh b'inyan hatainis ein l'shanois l'hakal at sheitiu le'nidra. Gas v'asvarim. Daf misha eina mesana, even somebody who does not fast on Erev Rosh Chodesh, mikol mokem yira lasos tshuva b'yom zeh. He should certainly see to it to do tshuva on Rosh Chodesh. And to fix up anything that he did wrong during the previous month. Since this is the last day, even though Rosh Chodesh is really the first day of the next month. Oh no, we're talking about fasting on Erev Rosh Chodesh. Erev Rosh Chodesh is the last day of the previous month. So on the last day of the previous month, you should see to it to do tshuva for anything that you did wrong during that previous month. And then certainly that day of Erev Rosh Chodesh will be a zman kapara for you. I think it's very befitting that this, I always said that you see tremendously the siyata d'shmaya of Daf Yomi, because it's Badik U'Menusa that the Daf very, very, very often speaks about in Yonah D'Yoma. I can tell you that I said shir last cycle. I said shir from the beginning of Brachas till the end of Baba Kama, and every single Yom Kippur, the Daf had some connection to Kippur Avonos. So there's a tremendous siyata d'shmaya to Daf Yomi, and I think over here you're also seeing the siyata d'shmaya that Dirshu must have, because we just started Chodesh El, and we're just talking over here about tshuva.